welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity. We're doing something a little bit new and kind of different this month, and this is going to be an ongoing thing at the end of the month. I'm a big horror fan. This is actually a picture I took in front of the murder house when my wife and I were out in Los Angeles. And so I'm just going to sort of do a brief little thing, and I am going to talk about some of the horror movies that I watched in August. So this is going to be kind of a retrospective. But of course, if it's this channel, we can't do it with a dry mouth. So we're going to open up a new bottle of whiskey, and I think we're going to do this probably every month. We'll see. I mean, I have plenty of bottles of whiskey to open up. This month, we are going to open up. This is going to be interesting. There's green on here. It comes through. So this is a Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye. So the regular Wild Turkey Rare Breed I've had many times. I think it's a real solid bottle. And so we're going to see what we think of the rye. And on this channel, we have definitely always been very pro Wild Turkey. It is definitely not just that stuff you used to drink when you were a teenager to throw up to. There we go. Let's give it a taste. It's a fairly rich nose. Just a lot of the spice coming off of it. I mean, that's sort of your primary thing you get off a good rye. A little bit of oak on the nose too. Kind of a warm spice. That's really good. So the thing that you get on the palate that I don't think you get on the nose as much is there's a lot of fruit there, in a good way. I'm thinking like maybe, I don't know, I can't quite pick it out. Yeah, maybe like cherry cobbler, kind of like a sweet, spicy cherry or apple kind of a flavor. So yeah, very definitely do not regret opening that up. So let's start with what I watched in August. So the first movie that came up, I kind of want to talk about Nope, but Nope I actually watched in July, so we won't get into that. The first one I watched was Spiderhead. That came out on Netflix. I think it actually came out in June, but I didn't watch it till now. It's got a pretty interesting cast. So it's Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller and Journey Smollett, and it's kind of like people that are on this island and have signed on for this experiment or take part in this experiment in lieu of serving their sentence. I thought it was decent. It didn't really break the mold in any particular way. I think Chris Hemsworth kind of playing against type a little bit. He's like an evil Elon Musk, or just Elon Musk. I thought it was entertaining. Unfortunately, that movie, I just don't really have a heck of a lot to say about it. If you've seen kind of dangerous near future sci-fi without, I don't know, it's fine. It's a fine movie. I think if you've got how long is it? If you got an hour and 46 minutes to kill, I think you'd like it. I do think they probably should have gotten it down to an hour 30. I think horror movies, especially horror movies, all movies in general, but specifically horror movies, you really want to get movies down to 90 minutes, an hour and a half. You can really get through a lot of movies, and you know, it's a nice tight 90. The next one I have a lot more to say about. So that is They/Them. I believe this hit Peacock. So this is Kevin Bacon. Anna Klumsky's in this, who was kind of famously, I don't know if she started off, one of her first big roles was My Girl with Macaulay Culkin. Not a happy ending to that movie. So I really, really didn't like this movie. This is, I felt like there are certain movies that advertise as one thing, and then when they show them to you, they're kind of something else. First of all, the pacing is very, very strange. There is a kill very, very early on into the movie, and then basically no blood for a significant period of the runtime. Also, so I should say what the plot is. So the plot is it's a group of teenagers come to a gay conversion camp, which I think it's way past time there should have been a horror movie that takes place. It's such a horrifying environment just in and of itself, and you know, the idea of turning that into a whole film, I think is just a fantastic idea. I only wish they'd done a better job of it. So it is as the counselors are arriving, and as you sort of get into the film, it seems to me, and again, maybe this is just me, maybe other people didn't get this impression. It seems to me that they are sort of building to this camp as something else, and that there is, And by the way, I'm going to have a few minor spoilers. I don't really think there's, I don't really think there's much in this movie to spoil, really. They kind of make it seem like there's something to spoil, but then there isn't. Um, but there isn't really a turn. I mean, the movie kind of just the people that you think are bad, and that's really all there is to it. Um, I was really disappointed, especially bringing Kevin Bacon obviously back to where he first started. Kevin Bacon got a start in Friday the 13th. You expect maybe they're gonna do some callbacks to that, maybe they're gonna do something with that, and they never really do, and it just kind of goes past. I don't think it's a terrible film. I didn't hate it. I just think it's one of those films that almost makes you mad because it had so much potential and then did basically nothing with it. I was very disappointed in that movie. Um, Again, they got Kevin Bacon back in the woods, for God's sake. They got Kevin Bacon at a camp and nothing. It's very frustrating. Um, I don't know if it's a terrible film, but it is a very frustrating film, and I think it's frustrating because I think most of the actors and well the whole cast essentially I think is really interesting, and they got good people, and they got people that are interesting, and people that I would like to see be doing interesting things, and they just don't. It's just a yeah. There's one thing with horror. I think and I've said this at other points, but the worst thing you can do as a horror movie is be boring, because I would rather watch a really really bad movie that's interesting than a mediocre movie that does nothing. Because at least with the bad movie that does stuff, then you can take something away from it. You can get something out of it. But this is just nothing. It's just kind of it's idle. It's just very idle. So moving from a movie that I didn't like to one that I very much did like, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I was very nervous when I watched the trailers that this was going to be kind of like a, ooh, the Gen Z is saying Gen Z things and triggered and whatnot. The movie isn't like that at all, really. I mean, I think the characters all feel very real. They feel like real people, and they're flawed people, and they have a lot of problems. But I think they're real people. And you get to see Pete Davidson get killed. Small spoiler. It happens very early on in the movie. Um, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that the characters get along really well. I did not know it was Lee Pace was playing one of the lead characters. I know Lee Pace primarily from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and obviously it looks very different there. But all the characters very real. It's not incredibly bloody, but I think it'll give you your horror fix. It's not a bloodless movie. And yeah, I think one of the things that's very difficult for horror movies, I believe, is to get the characters to be relatable and interesting. I mean, that's the thing that 80s slasher movies, would very often fail to get right, is getting characters that are kind of interesting, and that you cared about. I mean, there's some 80s slasher movies that did very well at it, but many didn't. Um, and I think in this one, the characters are interesting. You are interested in seeing what the characters are going to say to each other and how they're going to interact. So I like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies a lot. Um, so the next one is going to be a little controversial, and I don't know whether this is a horror movie. Um, so I personally have a fear of heights. I do not like being up in tall places. If you are like me, someone who does not like being up in tall places, then Fall, from earlier this month, is definitely a horror movie for you, or maybe not for you, or at least it will feel like a horror movie. So it's a very very simple premise. A girl and her friend and her boyfriend are climbers on a climb. Her boyfriend falls to his death, and she obviously stops climbing. And then her friend comes to try and get her sort of out of her shell and to get her to do this climb, which is the tallest radio tower in the United States or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the story is behind the tower. It's a 2,000-foot radio tower that's sort of out in the middle of nowhere, and they're going to climb to the top of this thing. And it is, again, if you're somebody who's not bothered by heights, I feel like this movie is going to be really boring for you. But if you are somebody who is bothered by heights like me, this movie is incredibly difficult to watch. I've watched some of the most violent movies that are out there, and they don't really bother me at all. This one I was literally on the edge of my seat the entire time. There is a lot of it that's apparently green screened, but the green screening is done really, really well. Essentially, and again, it's not really much spoiling to this movie. It's two girls climb a tower, and then the only spoiler would be whether or not they come down or not. Well, I mean, they're definitely going to come down one way or the other. Um, but they go out to climb this tower, and the ladder breaks, and so they have no way down. Well, except for the obvious way. And it's just them sitting up at the top of this tower, having these conversations, and sort of trying to figure out how to get people's attention, and so they get out of there. Not a lot really to say about it, except for it looks really, really good. The filming is done really, really well. Not a super bloody movie. I think this is PG-13. Generally speaking, I'm not super on board with PG-13 horror movies, but I think you didn't really need a lot of gore in this movie. Again, there's basically two characters in the movie, um, and yeah, like I said, if you got a fear of heights, this will get you. This will definitely get you. It got me. Um, yeah, very interesting. Another one was one that got recommended, and I can't remember by who, but it's a movie from 2019 called Bliss, and it's about a painter who is sort of a wild child, kind of a girl, and she's trying to finish this painting. She's been given an advance, and she's trying to finish this painting. She does so. Buys this new kind of drug from somebody at a party, and it has an effect on her. And there's a lot of killing and blood, and she paints. I think this is one of those movies where I didn't necessarily love it, but I think that they really are kind of going their hardest into it. I don't like the dialogue. One thing that I think that some movies do, and probably the worst offender of this is Rob Zombie, where everybody is cursing at each other all the time. And again, I was in the army. I can curse with the best of them. But nobody curses every other word. Like it's a unrealistic way of talking. Nobody talks that way. And so when I see people talking that way in movies, I'm like, take some of those out because it just sounds unrealistic. I feel like it takes me out of the movie. Overall, though, I think it's filmed really well. I think it looks good. It has a very kind of frenetic sense to it. It's very dynamic. There's a lot of motion, and you feel the characters are drinking and doing a lot of drugs throughout the movie, and you very much feel that sense of kind of unreality and I guess kind of terror. Not in the traditional horror sense way of like a serial killer, but like that you don't know what's going on, and you feel kind of confused and out of your element. So I didn't love it, but it's good, and you should check it out. It's definitely worth a look. Now, do we consider Predator movies horror movies? Who cares? Sure. So I watched Prey, which is the latest Predator movie, and I really, really liked it. It sort of takes Predator back down to the base, and I think that that's one of the problems with a lot of the Predator movies. Certainly the Aliens versus Predator movies, which, we talked about those in the channel recently. And it's just a really simple movie. It's a girl fighting a predator, and a bunch of things kind of get in the way, and there's a bunch of things happen along the way. And I think a lot of the sort of asshole MRA guys would be like, how can a girl who's small beat a predator? And it's like, well, I mean, she knows the land. I mean, this isn't somebody, most of the other times the predators have been fighting people, they've been fighting them where the predators have all the advantages. In this case, this is a girl who lives in a Native American tribe. I think it takes place in the late 16, early 1700s. So she knows the land, so she should be able to have some advantages. And I think that they do it in such a way where it's fun to watch. The action's good. I don't love the design of the Predator's face in this one because it's a little bit different from the traditional. And I think the very first Predator movie, and I think I probably talked about this when we talked about our Aliens and Predators rankings, like that phase of the very first Predator, it just looks so good. And I think this one's not quite as good. It's not bad. I don't dislike it, but it's not my favorite. And another movie where it's got a really good pace. You never feel like it's dragging. It's an hour 39, which is a really, really good length for a lot of these movies. You don't feel like it gets bogged down anywhere. And I think that's something I really like in movies, action movies like this. I shouldn't have to be bogged down in like knowing a bunch of things about this thing or that thing. There should just be like, okay, there's a predator and he's gonna kill people, and then somebody's hopefully gonna kill him. Which, interestingly enough, predators have a really bad track record on Earth. Like, they virtually always get killed. They do kill a lot of people first, but they do, always get killed. So, I don't know, Predators. Work on it a little bit. The next one. So I feel like I've said a lot. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. So I watched Last Night in Soho, which came out last year. It's got a really good cast. It's Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor-Joy is just kind of becoming, you know, a huge deal. You know, she's been in tons and tons of horror movies. I think she's going to be her and Samara Weaving are probably the two, like maybe most important actresses in horror right now. And it's good. I don't think it does anything particularly. It's a solid. You know, is this PG-13 or is this an R? This should get an R. It's a solid. It's just a solid horror movie. I don't think it really breaks too many boundaries or anything. It's just kind of, yeah, watch it. It's a girl who goes into the city, and you know she talks to some people that are ghosts or maybe from the past or maybe who knows. You'll see at the end. It's solid. It didn't leave a super big impression on me, but it's also good. It's Edgar Wright. I'm always a big Edgar Wright fan. He does a lot of good stuff. So yeah, check it out. Probably not going to change your life or anything, but you're gonna have a decent time. Also, this one almost gets up to 2 hours though. That's a little long. It overstays its welcome a little bit. Okay, so the next one is one that I watched. This came out. I think this came out earlier this year, but it's called Watcher. So this movie bugs me, and I didn't like it. So it's about a woman who moves to, I think, Romania. Yeah, she moves to Bucharest with her husband or boyfriend. I can't remember which. And he's Romanian by ancestry. I think his parents are from Romania, and he speaks Romanian. His girlfriend slash wife doesn't, and so she is sort of in this isolated position of not really knowing anybody, and which is kind of a generic setup. You see that in a lot of movies of like, oh, this person is now out of their element and can't communicate, and I don't know, it's not a super interesting thing because it's been done so many times. I think you can use that as a jumping off point as long as you have something kind of interesting to say. I don't think this movie has that much interesting to say, unfortunately. The thing that bothered me the most about this movie is the ending. I'm not going to spoil it because it is the twist, I guess. Although it doesn't, I feel like the twist is there isn't really a twist. It's just like, yeah, that's what happened, and then I don't know. I'm not verbalizing very well in this. There are movies where the movie directs you towards this conclusion, and in any good movie, that shouldn't be the conclusion, or there should be some big twist before you get to that conclusion. And in this, there just really isn't. It's just kind of what you sort of think is going to happen is what happens, and then it happens, and then the movie's over. It's just and I don't mind if a movie's just sort of being a straightforward kind of slasher, but movies like this, and they slash them did the same thing, where it seems like throughout the early part of the movie there are hints that there is going to be something different or something more, or there's going to be some kind of a complication, and there isn't, and that's what bugs me. If they hadn't pushed in that direction and sort of made it seem as if that's what they were going to do, then it wouldn't bother me. But they did, and it's just, I don't know. Plus, the lead actor, I've seen a bunch of stuff before. His name is Bern Gorman, and I've always thought that's a really cool name. It sounds like he should be a serial killer. So also this month I watched the Orphan Movies. I watched the first one, which came out back in 2009, and the Orphan First Kill, which just came out. These movies just aren't for me. I don't think they're bad movies. I think the lead actress, who is Isabel Furman, I think she does a perfectly fine job. I think it's got Vera Farmiga and Peter Sarsgaard. It's a good cast. The second one has Julia Stiles and I can't remember the rest of the guests, but they're just not for me. It's sort of an intrigue kind of thing, and it just, I don't know. They never really work for me. I don't think they're not fundamentally bad movies or anything. They just really aren't for me. So I rated these kind of low because I didn't care for them, I guess. Also, for some other stuff I watched, I've so far gone through the Night of the Demons movies, 1, 2, 3, and then the remake in 2009. I like them better than I thought I was going to. The first two I think are good. I think the third one is pretty bad, and the remake is also pretty bad. I think the remake was probably better than part three. Part three is just kind of this. It's super like '90s direct-to-video, kind of like you'd see late night on Cinemax. So if I was like 15 years old, I'd probably be really excited to see it at 1 a.m. on Cinemax, but I'm not, and I didn't, so I didn't really like it. And the last one that I just watched the other day is a movie that I came out very, very negatively on, and that's The Invitation. So I kind of had a hard time ranking this because I think the lead actress who comes from Game of Thrones, her name is Natalie Emmanuel. I think she's really good. I think she's a good actress, and I think she's trying to be good in this. But the writing just does nothing. I mean, this movie has a twist. So the two previous movies, They Slash Them and Watcher, I sort of got on for not having a twist, which is bad enough. But this has the stupidest twist on earth. I mean, I'm gonna spoil this one. I'm sorry. So if you don't want to know what the twist is in The Invitation, then skip over right now. It'll be fairly quick, I think. But he's Dracula, not a Dracula, not a vampire. He's Count Dracula. He's literally Count Dracula. And I just, as soon as they basically said like, I'm a Dracula, you're just like, that's a stupid twist. So all this was just like, I'm Dracula. Because you go into this with sort of vibes from primarily two movies, Ready or Not and Get Out. And sort of in equal, literally sort of in the first little bit feels like just those two movies kind of had a baby, which, you think about that, and I love both those movies. Ready or Not's great, aforementioned Samara Weaving, and Get Out, Jordan Peele's big directorial debut. Both really, really great movies. So this seems like it's that for about 45 minutes or so, and then it's just Dracula, and that's what we're left with. Just, it was Dracula. I don't know how they came up with that. It seems like such a terrible idea. Because I think most of the cast is pretty talented. I think the British family is is quite cartoonish, very cartoonish. They are Britishly cartoonish. But I think that the main guy isn't bad. And again, the lead actress, Natalie Emmanuel, is very good. But this movie, it's just terrible. It's a terrible writing job, and it almost makes the first part more frustrating, where you watch the first part and you're sort of trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. And I know, by the way, if you've seen the trailer for this movie, a lot of the stuff gets spoiled in the trailer. I try to avoid trailers when I can because, well, kind of just for this reason. So I wasn't spoiled on anything when I went into the movie. And you get to the twist, and it's just Dracula. That's it. So dumb. Anyway, so again, I'm going to try to do this each month. September is going to be a big month. There's a bunch of good stuff coming up that I'm looking forward to seeing. Overall, I think August. I think I was pretty happy with August. I think Spiderhead was good. Bodies was quite good. Fall almost gave me a heart attack. Bliss was interesting. Prey was really good. Last Night in Soho was good. And we just had a couple movies in there that were a little disappointing. So I'm going to call August 2022 a good month for horror. And we will see you, for cocktail videos every Wednesday, and for this, we'll see you next month. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Please have a good drink, and have a good day.
I brought something.
What is it?
It's zucchini bread.
Yum.